This is an emergency video to make up for the original video, the OV for tomorrow, that got stuck last night. I can't work it. It doesn't work as intended anymore. So I got to replace it with an emergency video. This is that video. All right. Good morning, YouTube. Deckard here from Attention Deficit Deckard. I've got a bit of a conundrum going on today, so I thought I would just jump in and we'll see what kind of a video I can make out of this. So, as you may know, I try to upload 2 videos each week. That's my minimum, and up until this past weekend, it had been my maximum. So on Tuesdays at 11 a.m. and Fridays at 5 p.m., that's when I publish my videos to YouTube. What I do for my Losts in the Vlog, the Tuesday 11 a.m. publications, I like to upload those on Sunday. Well, today's Monday morning, and I have not yet uploaded. And I don't want to miss an upload date. So I figure, life happens. Like today, for example, I've got a video upload tomorrow, and I'm making the video now. And I'll get into why I'm doing that. But that's not really the way I want to work. Unfortunately, the video Lost in the Vlog episode number 4 that should be uploaded and ready and scheduled and ready to go for tomorrow at 11, it got stuck and it no longer works as intended, and I've got to start from scratch. But I'd rather, I don't know, I'm going to try this instead. So this is an emergency video to replace the OV, the original video that got stuck. And I don't really know what to do for this video. So I'm just going to go through it in real time. I want to talk about how we handle this type of adversity. It's the first time for me. So what happens when your OV gets stuck, right? What do? Well, you could scramble around, try to find an idea, or you could not scramble around and simply wait for a new idea to come to you, which is the preferred method. Try to stay open to the situation. Maybe this is an opportunity, right? Maybe I can make a better video talking about things that I hadn't really thought about before. So I think not scrambling and waiting for a spark, a minor inspiration. So the idea for an emergency video came to me. The first part of this video, after this long-winded introduction, is based on how to respond to such a situation. In the YouTube content creation, world, I feel like you've got maybe 4 areas of response. Or you got an emotional response, you got a logistical response, there's a professional response, and a creative response. And I thought, well, emotionally, right? How upset do I allow this to make me? Instead, what happened? The video got stuck and was like, okay, well, rather than flying off a handle or panicking or getting angry or getting frustrated or whatever, I didn't really have much of an emotional response, which was nice. So that's the first thing I think you gotta be prepared to deal with when you come across an adversity. How are you gonna respond emotionally? Take a deep breath and accept what is. That video's gone. I can't use it. So I can get upset about it, or I can move on to the next phase, which is a logistical response. How do I define the problem, and how do I approach solutioning for it? Solutioning versus solving. I was like, I like this term solutioning. It's a little bit more of an impressionistic feeling your way through rather than bringing the hammers and nails and, diving in and solving a problem. I'm more into solutioning it. Let's just sit in the solution and see what comes. And what came was an idea for an emergency video. And let's talk about the situation rather than the original video. And one way to solution this would be to try to remake the video or reinvent it or try to reinterpret it. That was one solutioning, but I thought I would rather address the team directly, not hide anything from the audience and the group. If you guys are watching, this will happen. It happens from time to time. Who knows why a video gets stuck? But sometimes you lose your OV. I've got to come up with a new video. So this is that video. And so logistically, an impressionistic feeling out versus a jumping in with a solve. I don't have a solve yet. I'm not approaching it with hammers and nails. I'm not trying to manipulate this situation into a solve. I'm trying to sit with the situation, sit in the solution, right? So it's a little bit more of a, I don't know, a little bit more open, maybe a lot bit more open, and just let the universe, as I like to call it, ideas, inspiration, whatever, let it do its work. Don't panic, don't fret. And anyway, that's the logistical response. Okay, so how do you define the problem? I need a video. And how do I approach solutioning for it? The way I just said. That's my approach. And it's, everybody has their own approach, but you got an emotional response you got to deal with. Talked about that. You got a logistical response. The next thing is your professional response. For me, how do you handle the pressure and responsibility to your project? My YouTube channel is my project. It's young, it's new, it's unfamiliar. I don't know what the hell I'm doing over here, right? But I'm taking it serious. I do have a responsibility to the project. So that, for me, the professional response is pretty, it's almost like it's a non-negotiable. Yeah, there's a response to be had, to be made, but it really, the choice was obvious. Yeah, I'm definitely I'm gonna take this seriously. Right, and then finally, the last of the four, how do you respond creatively? And this is the big one, this is the meat. But creatively, where do you go looking for inspiration here? What are we doing for this emergency video, this replacement for the OV? I think it's an opportunity in disguise. It's allowed me to do kind of a revisitation, a reassessment, a slight one, about the orientation of the channel, the focus a little bit. As you may be aware, and this was fairly spontaneous, I introduced a third playlist to the channel on Saturday afternoon. The Slam Poetics Cold Dog, who's he's my slam poet handle. I think you have to have a nickname or like a handle when you do slam poetry. It makes it cooler. You got to be cool. You got to try to be cool and hip to do slam poetry. I think that's part of the whole movement. So Cold Dog, Slam Poetics, that's, words without rhymes. It just came to me, and I made like a bunch of them. I've got 6 of these, by the way. You've seen one slam on my old fridge. They just come. There it is, makes its appearance. Inspiration is one of those things that you can make a video every day about it, right? Because it should be, hopefully it is. For me, I'm finding that it is always a part of your life. I don't know why I like to do this with my hand. I've got some hand motions I like to emphasize. It's like an underline. I don't know why I do that. But yeah, I had this inspiration out of the blue, out of the great blue yonder. I don't know. I was watching a movie and I just got inspired and I wrote down some words that were kind of poetical. It wasn't Old Fridge. Old Fridge was the 3rd one I wrote, but it's my favorite one. So I decided to start with your best foot forward when you're doing something a little risky like a slam poem, right? Because I don't know anything about poetry or slams, I like to think I know a little bit about cool, but that's subjective. But I really don't know anything about poetry or slams, let alone slam poetry. So it's risky, but I felt inspired in the moment to just write some words. And then I thought later, I want to make a video of a poem like this. And I looked up, and slam, it's kind of a thing. Technically, these are a little divergent from, that's why I call them slams and not slam poems, right? Slam poetry has its own rigors and schematics and rules. You need to have an audience and you need to do this and that. And, there's a whole thing. You can look it up on Wikipedia. But I like the idea of like slam is hard and meaningful, right? Anyway, that just came out of the blue for me. And I had these slams written, and I did this introduction video off the top of my head Saturday morning. Luckily, the Luch was available, and we talked it out, and we decided we're going to incorporate slams to our channel. What that does to the channel, which gets to my point about the pivot, is I'm starting to feel like I want to take this channel a little bit more in an artistic nature. Still want to be as helpful and useful as I can. I'm always trying to bring wisdoms and experiences, as clumsy as they are, right? I'm not a professional at this. You know, I'm not Tony Robbins. I'm not even Tony Robbins' cousin. I don't know his first name, but, you know, like these self-help gurus, I'm really more of like, I'm more like the host who welcomes you to the self-help seminar. Like, you know, when you go to a restaurant, you know, and you get somebody, the host. I was a host back in the day when you would come to the restaurant. I didn't serve you. I greeted you. I made you feel welcome. I put you at your table. You know, like that was my whole thing. So I'm kind of like that, I think, with wisdom, right? I'm not quite a guide, certainly not a guru. I think I know some things and I can speak words in that sense. And the orientation for the words is to try to be helpful. That's what my spirit is. So that's where clumsy wisdoms come in, and you'll be seeing some of those, and you know, some already. So I'm trying to be helpful, but I don't know how helpful I really am, to be honest. You know, I like doing this, and I hope you like it. But even if you don't like it, I'm still going to do it, and I'm going to try to get better. But I don't have a vision written in stone for the channel, but I have a scaffolding, a skeletal vision. Pencil sketch, like an outline. Some of it's fleshed out, a lot of it's not. I don't know where this is going. I didn't envision slams 2.5 months ago when I started on the channel thinking about this as a project, but I did start thinking about it like a science project maybe 3 months ago. You know, back in school, you'd have science projects in high school. I was like, that's what I'm going to do for the next 8 months, is treat YouTube like a science project. And then I started thinking of it recently like an art project. Instead of a science project, more of an art project. Now, I don't know anything about art. I know what I like. I don't know why I like it. Sometimes I do. Movies, paintings, music. Like, I understand what art is in a general sense. I've had art history. But I've never been an artist of any kind. Never been a performer, never been a musician, never been any kind. A writer. The writing's the closest, but, you know. So this is now the closest. And there's a little bit of art involved. And I find that I like the art. I like being creative. That's my favorite part. I mean, my favorite part is talking. But I'm trying to use my talk in an artistic way, if that makes any sense. Like I'm just talking. I'm not writing a speech and reading a speech. I'm not writing a story and reading a story. That's not where my heart is. I just like turning on the camera and yapping. And I'm pretty good at it. In the sense that I can yap. I certainly can yap. So I'm good at that. Like I can make words. I can make sounds that make words into sentences that make sense. I can make sense. Now, can I make it interesting or fun or wisdoms or art? I don't know. There's two schools of thought for me. I have my own schools of thought. One is you guys have to be the judge. The other is only I can be the judge. It's the reverse. I don't know. I don't know enough about art theory and critical theory to know, but I do know what I feel. And if it doesn't feel good, then it's not going on the YouTube. But if it feels good to me, then I'm going to throw it up there, even if it's bad, because I don't know if it's bad. I don't think it's bad. If I thought it was bad, I wouldn't put it up. Now, my refinement might get more refined, and a year from now I might look at these videos and be like, oh, I mean, I don't know. But I'm not going to let that stop me, right? I could let that stop me. We could let that stop us and never create. And I've been never creating for my whole life, right? I'm in my Gen X years. So, like, if not now, when, right? Like, I like to talk. I like to make videos. So this is a thing that I do. And now I realized I can make this into an art. As clumsy and inartistic as it is, it's still an orientation here in my third eye. I don't know if I have a third eye, but I'm pointing here for some reason. But it's because it's in my mind, even though my mind probably isn't in my forehead. It's probably not right here. But that's a digression. That's a getting lost in the vlog. See, I'll get lost in my vlogs. That's why I named it that, because of my ADHD. I get distracted, and then I can go off on a lost. And then I used to be really good about coming back from the lost. But now as I get older and my ADHD gets wiser and more wily, is sometimes it gets lost, and then I go lost from a lost. and then I lose track maybe, and I only come back to the lost, but I never come back from this first lost back to the actual vlog itself. So that's why I call it that. So I get digressed and distracted. But yeah, from here, I feel like it's an orientation. That's what I'm saying. I'm taking this up. This is an opportunity to explore and express the channel in a different, more artistic orientation. Yeah, as clumsy and inartistic my videos are, there is creativity. There's creation happening, and it's a creative creation. It's not a productive creation so much as a creative one, rather than a functional one. Like, I'm not just press and record talking and muscling up a video about 5 ways you should be an artist or not. No, it's more diffuse and confuse, maybe. It could be confusing. I'll try to do that in the edit, clear out the confusion. But for me, it's all one giant art, the whole channel, really. And I hadn't thought about that before, but that's the way I feel it. I want to be artistic now. And so I thought, with the OV getting stuck, we're going to make an emergency video. This is what an emergency video looks like. I wanted to take this time that the universe gave me by stuck in my video, talking about the general shift to a more artistical style. But, this is what's been on my head. And that's all. That's all. All right. Nice talking to you. Thanks for your time. I'm going to stop the recording now. Maybe it's 4th grade, crayon drawing quality art, right? Watched Mr. Rogers in decades. I watched that special about him, which was nice. Emergency video. Make an emergency video, which is a new concept that I never thought of before. It's an emergency.